Hello, everybody. This is Tea Talks with Chelsey. That is me. I am so glad that you are here with us tonight. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's recap just a little bit. So last week, did you guys see the poster? We were supposed to have this very conversation last Monday night. But unfortunately, I ended up in the hospital with some breathing issues and back pains and things. Thank God I am okay. I'm coming out of the woods. Still need to do some testing, so pray for me. If you're an intercessor, if you're a prayer warrior, just, pray for my health, my overall being. But yes, we had to postpone, of course, but I am so grateful for many other Mondays that we can do this show on because hi Shem, hi lovely Shem, I love you. But my guest is so gracious to pop on spontaneously and let's do it. Let's just, obviously there is a good message for you to hear tonight. Obviously, there is hope for you. There is peace for you. There is joy for you. There is love for you. And let me tell you, when things like that happen, there was a huge side swipe kind of taken out under my feet. And that's not going to happen. I am here to stay and I'm going to stay. And so you guys get to hear my new friend, Jes Jones from Michigan. If you have never met her before, let me tell you what really inspired me was I took the risk and I just messaged her just like this. I've never met her before. I just saw her post on Facebook, her testimony about her health, her life. Sometimes we do a little Facebook stalking. It's not that bad, but it's true. And she just inspired me with her story of how God moved in a huge miraculous way in her life. I mean, she's a wife, she's a mama, she's a preacher, she's, and so when you feel like your voice doesn't matter, let me tell you, your voice matters in every possible way, especially when there's when things happen and you actually physically lose your voice. And that's the story that we're going to unfold. But also there's so much more of Jes Jones. There is so much to unpack that you're going to learn how she overcame all of these obstacles. This is going to be such a good, rich, resourceful night for you. I hope you are blessed tonight. I see some fun ladies coming on. Yes, let me know where you are watching from. If you hear me try to catch my breath, this is why I went to the hospital. I'm catching my breath and God's gonna heal me, so keep praying for me. But I do want to show you our last tea talks that we had. If you missed it, this was my guest, Pam Dick. She is such an amazing person. She has a spirit cafe. And what that means, she talked all about that in that show. So what it means is that they've built a cafe and do spiritual readings. And on the menu, it actually says, what kind of coffee you'd like. And they give them spiritual readings. Now we know spiritual readings is a prophetic word, encouraging word, a word of knowledge and all the things. And people have been giving their life to Jesus at this spirit cafe just through this way that God has given her this idea, this new thing, like new adventure. I'm sure there's a lot of people who do different things with how to give a prophetic word to somebody who doesn't know who Jesus is, right? And so they have actually gone to psychic fairs and had a booth, and their lines were much longer than some other person's booth, and they were able to preach the gospel and see people give their lives to Jesus. We got to go where people are at, because that's where God's called us to shine in the dark places. And so that is what Pam does. She is an amazing person as well. Just all around amazing person. So check out on Voice of Revival's YouTube channel, and you can go in the playlist and you can actually see some of my old interviews that I have done in the past. But if you don't have time to sit around and watch live, guess what? Podcast. You can go on Spotify, Apple, or Anchor. And yes, I know not many people use Anchor, but still it's there. And you can go and check out. Right now we have about 14 episodes up. It's going to keep on going throughout the whole summer. And it's every Monday, a new episode is going to come up. So what a good way to start your week. Have some good positive information, some good talk between each other. It's going to be so good. And I'm just excited for you guys to hear. The latest one is actually Hope Russell, and she talks about her coffee expression. And she has her own coffee queen. Oh my goodness. Expression. Oh my gosh. I don't want to butcher that name. Hope, if you're watching, Hope, please. We need some hope. Oh my goodness. Oh, we have some Kentucky in the house. Abigail. Oh, this is so cool. Hello, Carol. Hi, Tiani. I hope I said that right. Hello, Sammy. So good, so good. Yes, please let me know where you're watching from. Like I said, I have a new friend on tonight. Her testimony is incredible. We're going to dive deep tonight to know how she persevered, how things worked for her, how God showed up in a real way. I'm sure you guys have stories too in your life where God showed up in a real way. Well, you know what? You need to tell people. You need to get out there, go on Facebook, go on Instagram, go on one of the socials, go to your friend groups and tell them the good news that God did in your life, how he showed up for you, how he changed your whole life around for the good. That song, you turning things around, you're doing it again, you're turning things around. I love that song because it's true. He's like, God, you're going to change this. Like, this is going to turn around for the good. And I love that. This is so cool. Hi, Lori. Yay. Hello. Hey, Michigan's in the house. Maybe Jess knows you because she's from Michigan. Who knows? All right. So, I want to bring her on right away. I don't want to take up too much time because I got to stop yakking here. But I do want to say one thing before I bring Jess on, is that tonight is the last night before I take a nice break for the summer. We will continue in September with a whole new slew of interviewees. Hope I said that right. But I think I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle, and I'm going to get some couples on, and I'm going to interview some males as well. So, ever evolving is the word, and that's good. We need to change with God. When he's telling you to move, you move. When he's telling you to turn, you turn. When he says stay, you stay. I don't ever want to be outside of the word of God. I just want to keep on listening to him. I just want to be close to his heart and hear where the direction's going. And so, you know what? This is what this is about. And so in September, we're going to pick it up again with some new interviewees, and it's going to be such a fun time. I'm excited. Are you excited? Whew, gotta catch my breath, like I said. All right, I'm going to bring on Jes Jones. Here we go. Yay.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Chelsey. What a privilege.
Yeah, you already have some friends.
Yay!
I don't know if you can see the comments on the sides there, but you can see, I don't know if you know anyone. There's Kathleen Griffith.
I know Kathleen. Hey, Kathleen. Oh, here we are. Oh, there's my Aunt Diane. Yeah, I know people. And Kathleen. Oh, hey, there's Rach Decker and Sandy. Hey, those are peeps.
I love it.
Peeps is an old word.
That's all good. I love thunderous virtual applause. Thank you so much, Lori. Yes, Lori is one of our ladies too. So good. Oh, this is so good. Such sport. So there are people here who know you, but there are some who don't. So I was just wondering if you can give us the who, what, where. Yeah, that big question.
Well, my name is Jess, and I live in South Central Michigan, and grew up in Kansas City, so I'm a Kansas City kid at heart. But I moved up here in my early 20s to do ministry, and that's just kind of kept me here or brought me back here. And so, yeah, my husband and I, we pastor Trees Church in Coldwater, Michigan, and we've been pastoring this particular church since about 2011. I've been in ministry for about 27 years. And yep, I started youth ministry right out of high school. Joined my youth pastor and his wife in Kansas City. I'm doing youth ministry. I did Youth with a Mission for a year, and then went back straight into youth ministry. So I did that for about 8 years, and then married my husband. And we've been in youth ministry, worship ministry. We worked at Teen Challenge for a while. I don't know if you're familiar with that program.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So my husband's a Teen Challenge graduate, like 25 years ago or something like that. But yeah, so at a young age, I just felt this call from the Lord I just wanted to give my life to the service of the Holy Spirit and the Lord. And back then, what that looked like to me, it was being in vocational ministry. So I've just kind of stayed in that vein ever since. So yeah, what else? Oh, I'm a mom. I've got 4 kiddos. I just graduated my first one. So we've been redoing everything and outside my house. I got like 10 years worth of yard work done in 2 weeks. So that's a lot, but hey, it's my favorite place to be now. It's the cleanest part of my house is my deck. But yeah, so he just graduated. He's getting ready to start his first year at Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry up at Bethel Church in Redding, California. So I'm super excited for him. And then I have a 15-year-old son who's going to be a junior. My daughter's going into 7th grade, and my little guy is going to be in 2nd grade. So,
oh, wow.
What else about me? Trees Church, you had asked how the name came to be.
Yeah.
When we both kind of had a fascination with that whole idea about how trees, like a tree grove, or is that what you call it? A tree grove, like an apple grove, or you know what I mean? Like a grove of trees, how they all grow together, that their roots are intertwined together. And so, they support one another, like those big red cedar woods in Northern California. They're huge trees, but they're held up by their roots being intertwined to one another. So just all these different ways about the health of trees and just the analogy. But for us, our verse is Jeremiah 17:7-8, and they wrote it down because it's in a different version, but I really like it. It said, "Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord. He is like a tree planted by water that sends out its roots by the stream and does not fear when the heat comes, for its leaves for its leaves remain green, and it's not anxious in the year of drought, for it does not cease to bear fruit. So that's been our motto for a decade. But when I read it in that version tonight, I was like, oh my gosh, this verse is so our life. It's so my life. But yeah,
it's refreshing too. Yeah. Like when you revisit the reason why, right? It's refreshing and it reminds you of that first vision.
So yeah, cool. It really does. And even just thinking about what I was going to share with you tonight, I was like, oh, Holy Spirit, stop it. They don't need to hear this. I do.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool. I love the whole tree aspect because my husband had gotten a prophetic like vision before we started the We're One church as well. And it was about trees, but the underground roots, right? And how God was going to make all of that, the root system, like things were going to be uplifted out of the regular system, and that he was going to do the work in the underground system of the roots and stuff like that. So it's so cool. I'm like, maybe this is why, like, I was feeling so close.
Yeah.
So cool.
He's good. He's good. And he knows how I love how Jesus always related things to real life. Whether it was the mustard seed, the mountain, the tree, the water, whatever. He used everything around him to talk about how he worked, how the spiritual realm works.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, my husband just wrote grassroots movement. That was the word I was trying to get. That was the grassroots movement. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so you do church with your husband, and that came from that Jeremiah 17 verse. But like, did you guys come with that together? Like it was an agreement right away, or was there like back and forth ever? Or
there was agreement right away. When we first moved here, we got hired by the church. We got hired in, and we had they had a name already selected, but we went through a pretty big transition about 3 to 5 years in. And so when he came to me and he's like, Trees Church, I was like, yes. I love it. I like it. Yes. So yeah.
Done from there on. You said that you were doing Youth of a Mission. Where were you based? Because I know a couple of them are kind of all over the place, but where was the base that you went?
I went to YWAM in Colorado Springs when it was on Cheyenne Mountain. So way back in the day, it's in downtown Colorado Springs now, but we had it up in this beautiful mountainside. It was like, I don't know if they loaned it to YWAM or we rented it from them, but it was a YMCA park way up in the mountains, and it was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous experience. And I did my outreach in India, in central India. That was pretty cool. Yeah. I miss India.
What was your like favorite? What was that was one of the questions. Like, what's your favorite place that you visited, but also what was the most impactful? I'm like trying to remember, how did I word this?
No, that's good. My favorite place by far was India. I've been to Africa and I love Africa. We've got missionaries, like indigenous missionaries in Kenya that we support. And I really love Latin America and Mexico. I've been to Mexico 100 times, El Salvador. Like, I love Latin culture. But I just swoon by India and Indian culture and Indian women. I just love and adore them whenever I have a chance to get to know them. And I think it's a desire that God put in my heart, because it was just kind of something that came to me on a mission trip I was on in Tampico, Mexico, of all things. But just this dream God put in my heart, and I just kept my eye on it until I got there. And I really thought that I would live my life doing missions work in India until I married my husband. And then I knew that was not what I was going to be doing, because he was not on the call. There's not enough hand sanitizer in the world to get him to India. So I'm kidding, but no. But he knew, I knew his call was here. But I love the people and I love the culture. And the thing about India is either you love it or you do not love it. There's not a lot of, at least Westerners, that are in the middle. I loved how different the culture was, even though some parts of that was really hard. Oddly enough, the thing that God did in my life through that short experience there was teach me about womanhood. You know, here I am with these women who you and I consider oppressed, and in a lot of ways they are, and vulnerable and unsafe, yes. But one thing that they are really good at is being feminine. And I had grown up really jaded, and so jaded towards men. And so I didn't want to be, I wasn't, you know, like my sexual identity, none of that was in question. Like I'm a girl and I like guys, like that wasn't in question. But I didn't want to attract attention that I didn't want, right? And so when I went to India, I really learned about the beauty of womanhood, of being feminine, because the saris and just these were some of the most beautiful women I'd ever known. And it was just prized in a way that wasn't sensual. You know, I feel like in the States that we've crossed that line. We've blurred that line between being beautiful and being sensual. And the time that I was in India, I don't know what it's like there now, but then it wasn't like that. And I saw this feminine womanhood that wasn't necessarily associated to sensuality. And it was really healing for me. And the Lord used it to teach me a lot just about how he engineered me as a woman and that it was okay. And that didn't have anything to do with what had happened in my life, or didn't have anything to do with men. You know, it had to do with the way that he made me. So, you know, and, you know, I got to meet amazing people and share Jesus with them. And, you know, that rocked my world. And I'm still friends with some of those people. So I love India. If I have any advice about India, if you have the chance to go to India and you have the chance to go to Taj Mahal, just go.
Just go.
Right? Is my friend, long story short, I ended up in New Delhi for a night. He's like, do you want to go see the Taj? I was like, no, I'm going to bring my husband back. I didn't even know who my husband was back then. It was all romantic and we were going to go see the Taj and whatever. Go see the freaking Taj as soon as you have a chance. Just go.
Let's do it. Who cares who's with you? Just go.
Yes, just go alone. It does not matter.
I love that you said that. I was talking to Ben last night actually about how, because we love Sri Lanka. We have pastors that we know that live in Sri Lanka, and their church was doing this kind of concerty kind of thing, right? Because we do all these wonderful things in church as well. Who cares? And so one of the ladies is a really good, like soulful, jazzy kind of singer, right? And but that also goes with like the dress and the movement, right? And that's just how jazz and soul music is like. And so in our minds, religious minds too, we could totally look at this like, oh, she's moving her body because she's want the attention, or we sexualize it so much because we're so programmed that way in our Western world. But there was such a free church that, like, it's not even about that. It's really about the voice and just her talent and who she uniquely is. And she was able to express God through that it was so beautiful. And it's like, oh my goodness, how crazy are we to just constantly categorize people in this way just because of what they're wearing or what they're doing?
Yeah. Well, and then it makes you think about who would I be? Who would I be? What would my authentic expression be if I wasn't in my box? And then how do I kick myself out of my box?
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad we went here. Like, yes. I'm so glad we went here. Oh my gosh. Okay. Can we talk about this whole miracle that happened in your life about your voice?
Yes. So interestingly enough, the biggest part of this story, my voice is really the most, if you think about something of value, right? My voice is really the accessory to this story in terms of like the shiny blingy thing. But in 2019, I started getting really sick and we didn't know what it was. I went from one infection to another infection to another infection to another infection. And finally, settled with what I thought was bronchitis. And I kept going to the doctor and she put me on antibiotics. She put me on steroids. I started to feel a little bit better. I would get off of it and I would just tank again. And by the summer, I was exhausted and I had gone to see a local specialist, and I just knew something was really wrong. I never thought it was what it was, but I just knew something was really wrong. And in let's see, in February, I started getting sick. By the end of March, I had no voice. For me, I had to push really a public speaker, someone who likes to talk, a mom of 4, including 2 teenagers who also like to talk. I had to push really hard just to get the slightest whisper out. People in my church, it was almost painful to listen to. You know, I had to quit doing announcements. I had to quit public speaking altogether, because when I would talk to people, I realized they were looking at me like they were like, something is very wrong with her. Maybe she's contagious or something like that, which wasn't the case because nobody was catching whatever I had. Anyways, I ended up at a specialist at U of M through a visit to bigger city hospital. And I ended up at a pulmonologist, and he ran all these tests on my lungs, and he said he wanted to do a biopsy. What I should have done right away, and I'm just giving this free advice out there, if you're really sick and you can't figure it out and you've been sick for a long time, ask for a CAT scan. Just say the words CAT scan, because if I had gotten a CAT scan at any point in time before, they would have known. An X-ray did not help. I needed a CAT scan, but I did not know to ask. Wow. So I should have asked him to do a CAT scan right in my first visit, but I didn't know to ask. So we ran all these other tests. He wanted to make sure I didn't have TB before they did a biopsy, a lung biopsy. And so I scheduled the biopsy, but I was getting sicker and sicker. I could barely breathe. I couldn't talk. I had no energy, and I was in enormous amounts of pain, like from my neck down to my hip, just incredibly like this whole area was and I couldn't barely make it through a church service anymore. Anyways, I was really sick. Right. And so, I go.
No, but it puts perspective, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like what you lost.
Mm-hmm. I was deathly ill, and I didn't realize it. And so by the time we had the biopsy, I was so sick. The surgeon told me before I left the room what had happened, what it was, but I was under anesthesia, so I didn't realize. I don't have any recollection of it. And when I got out of there, the nurses were super nice to me. My mom was there with me. Student nurses were so nice, and like everybody was just extraordinarily nice. And I remember looking at my mom like, does this seem right to you? And she's like, oh, it's just a great hospital. It is. It's a great hospital, but it was like way too nice. And when I was leaving, my nurse took my hand and she said, honey, you just go and you make those memories. You make the best out of this holiday. You eat up every second. And I was like, okay. Oh, and wow. So 3 days later, I'm headed to the local community college, because I might be almost dying and not knowing it, but I am going to enroll in community college because I always want to go to college. So that's what I'm going to do. And on that drive there, I got a call from the pulmonologist, and he goes, are you with your husband? And I said, no. And he goes, how far away are you from him? And I was like, down the road. And he's like, could you go back to him right now? And I said, sure. So anyways, I got back to the church office, and he said, it's really hard to have this conversation with you over the phone, but since you guys live so far away, we can't waste any time with this. This is cancer. This is lung cancer. And I'm going to pass you on to oncology from here. And I asked him questions like, what stage? Where has it spread? Blah, blah, blah. And he was not willing to answer any of my questions, because he's like, really, I got to defer to the specialist. So oncology called me, and I was like 2 weeks out from meeting from the oncologist. But I was just getting sicker and sicker. And I just remember finally thinking, I'm going to call and see if they have cancellations. Yeah. So finally one day I called, and I'm like, look, I'm waiting to see oncology. And they were able to get me in like a day later. And so we canceled our plans. We met with the oncologist, and he comes in the room and he looks at me and he says, Mrs. Jones, this is going to be a long, and this is going to be a hard appointment. And it's a travesty. We hate to see cases like this. He says, but you are going to need me to take breaks, and that's okay. You just tell me. And he's like, wow. Well, you've got a lot of information to get through. Okay. And like I'm just like I said, I can't talk. I don't have a lot of voice. And he goes, let's start by looking at your x-rays, or not x-rays. Let's start by looking at your CAT scan. And I was like, okay. So we get over to the computer, and he pulls up the CAT scan of my lungs. And I will never forget, I didn't need him to tell me. I didn't need him to tell me. My lungs were almost solid white from top to bottom, all the way through across, solid white filled with tumors. And they weren't like hard tumors, like, you know, not like tumors you can just remove. They were feathery tumors, like insulation that had grown. And so when I did have an x-ray, it just kind of made the light infrared, like just spread it everywhere, like through a prism, you know? So they couldn't see a tumor that way. It just looked like a bad x-ray or something. And so I could see, and just dread came over me because he didn't even, I knew it. I could see this isn't bad. This is
horrible.
This is horrible.
Like, yeah.
And so he went on to explain what kind of cancer it is. It's a non-smoker's cancer. It's an environmentally caused cancer. So I can say anything to my younger self, it would be check radon levels. So ladies, go do that for yourselves. Check your radon levels. They can't say that's what caused it, but it's one of the known causes.
Check Avon. What?
Radon. R-A-D-O-N. Radon.
Yeah, I said Avon levels. Like
Avon levels. Call your lady. No. Radon. Call your radon and call your radon guy. No, you can order them online, radon tests. But that's what I would tell my younger self. Check radon levels. You know, that Facebook memes. 3 words. What would you tell your younger self? Check radon levels, girl. Anyway, so yeah, we left that appointment and I was in shock and really he's like, we're going to wait for the blood work to come back to see if you qualify for gene therapy, because really that's your best hope at this point in time. And so we had about 10 days until that paperwork came back.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
You can buy them at a Reno Depot.
Yeah.
It's a hardware store.
And if you have radon elimination systems, inspect them. Get them inspected regularly and make sure they're working, because it's that important.
Okay.
Where was I? Oh yeah. So we had 10 days before my levels. And he was like, so I don't want to start you on a pain regimen yet. I don't want to start you on any therapy. This has gotten really bad. It's taken a long time. 10 days should not kill you. So my husband packed me up and loaded me up, and we went to this alternative treatment center in Mexico, just on the other side of the border, because a lot of those alternative treatment centers kind of been pushed out of the States over there. And so we went there, and that was a terrifying experience because I could tell the nurses and doctors were terrified for me. But we got all the stuff. We crossed back over the border. We went up to Redding, and we spent, I don't know how many days up at Redding, just in the presence of the Lord. And I had some pretty powerful supernatural encounters. Saw my cloud of witnesses. I think I was standing right next to the Lord. I think I had a heavenly visitation, and which was good, because the day after that I got sick beyond the point of return. Barely made it for my flight home. On my way from Redding to the airport, was a airport that was 3 hours away. I started losing function of my bowels, like losing control of my bowels. So not only was I vomiting from pain, I could no longer control my bowels at all. Yeah. And so in a 3-hour drive, I think we had to stop at a hotel 2 or 3 times for me to change. By the time we got to the airport, I just kept my sunglasses on because I looked so sick and I couldn't stop crying. I don't know what my husband did, but he gave something that helped me pass out. And I remember waking up in an ambulance. I got home, like we got to Detroit. I went to the hospital for scans. They did a PET scan and an MRI. And then I went to the hotel. And the next time I remember anything, I was sitting in an ambulance being taken to the hospital. And my husband, Matt, he was saying that I was finally in the hotel. I was finally sleeping. He was like, you had not rested like this in months. You were so still. You were breathing. You sounded fine. He's like, but I could not get the Holy Spirit off my shoulder. Like, he was like, call an ambulance now. Call an ambulance now. So he called an ambulance. The guy checked me out. He goes, she doesn't really show any signs that she needs to be taken in. And so he goes, ma'am, do you want to go in? My husband was standing behind him. He was like shaking. He said, yes, you want to go in. So I just was like, yeah, you know, like whatever. So I got in the ambulance. And the next thing I remember was just telling this surgeon, do it. I don't care. And what had happened was I had 32 ounces of fluid in my pericardium sac around my heart, 32 ounces of infected fluid. 32 ounces, maybe it was 16 ounces. I think they let off 32 ounces over a week. And I developed blood clots in my lungs. And so I'd lost bowels. I lost control of my bowels. I developed blood clots in my lungs. Like my organs were shutting down.
Yeah.
Look, when I was going through it, I didn't realize that was what was happening. But as I'm healthier now and I have taken care of some people who have watched their organs shut down, like now I get what was happening to me. And so the ER doctors were like, we don't know why you brought her in, but it's a good thing you did because she probably wouldn't have made it through the night. And so they took me in, they put a tube in my heart to take the fluid off, and they started me on blood thinners, but I missed my oncology appointment. So he comes in the morning and he's like, I was really worried about you guys. You didn't show up this morning, but then I saw you were on my floor. And he's like, she qualifies for gene therapy. So as soon as we can get her pain under control and she can stop throwing up, we'll start gene therapy. So that was good news, but the road ahead of me was really long. And just before all of this happened to me, I remember laying in bed and I had stretched back really far to try and breathe, get a deeper breath. And before I knew it was cancer, I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, Jess, for what you're about to face, you have to have a full buy-in. You cannot be objective. You cannot be pessimistic. For what you're about to face, you're going to need the full buy-in. And I knew exactly what he meant. I just didn't know how to get there. So these doctors they're not telling me how long I have. But they are saying it's not good. They're saying there's not a whole lot we can do if this gene therapy works, still blah, blah, blah. They're saying there's no cure for this cancer either. And so they were not trying to give me any hope.
Right.
And so I think they were hoping that something would work for me because I'm a mom of young kids, but they weren't giving me a lot of hope. And so it was in the hospital, and I could not shake that fear, like that dread that came on me in that initial appointment. Yeah. It was powerful and it was strong. It kept me up. Like if I wasn't medicated, I couldn't sleep. Like I'd never experienced anything like that before, like fear at that depth. And so when I was in the hospital, whenever I was awake, there was just this fear. My friend, she came, she visited me, and she saw me, and she just started crying. I couldn't even talk, and I was like, no crying. You can't. It's not. I said, no crying. It's not crime time. I'm still here. She's like, you're gonna tell me when I can cry, when I can't. I cry when I want to cry. I was like, you can't cry in front of me. Then you got to go somewhere else to cry. But just hanging on to just threads, small, tiny threads of hope that could snap at any minute because I was so weak and so sick, Yeah. And when I was in the hospital, I had this encounter, this heavenly encounter where I was taken above my floor of the hospital, and I could see down, and I could see my body. I could see what my body was doing. I could see my mom. I could see my nurse. I could see what my nurse was doing. I've asked my mom about these things because there's no way I would have been able to know them had I just been in the hospital bed, because I thought maybe it was a psychedelic dream. There's a lot to that encounter, but this is the part that matters. Well, no, it all matters. Don't get me wrong. But I got towards the end of this encounter, I got lifted above the hospital floor that I was on, and I could look down and I could see the patients in every single room. I could see their families. I saw doctors and nurses in the hallways. Like I could see all of it. And in every single room was a huge, enormous, it looked like a white wisp, but it was huge. And in some cases, it took up the space of most of the room. Wow. But I didn't realize then, I figured it out later, that they were angels. They were angels. Every patient had an angel assigned to them. And so I'm over the floor and I'm looking at all of this. I'm in perfect peace. My body's not, but my spirit, I'm not afraid.
Your spirit.
Yeah, my spirit's not afraid for the first time in forever. I'm at complete peace. My spirit's not even wondering what's going on. It's like my spirit's man's like this is just a normal Tuesday, And, all of a sudden I'm looking down at the hospital floor and I hear boom, like the power went out. And I was like, I thought the power went out at the hospital. I'm looking around. It's pitch dark. It's the darkest dark I've ever seen. And I thought, well, surely there's a generator, right? Like, don't hospitals.
It'll kick in soon.
In a minute. And as soon as I had that thought, boom, I heard everything come back on. But when it happened, dozens of those angels flew up at me. And they took a hold of my spirit and they pushed me back into my body. and I saw a hand place 6 pillars in my abdomen. And then I woke up, and my mom was on the bed because I was saying things that she realized I was seeing people on the other side. Like I was prophesying about my brother. I was seeing people that had died that I didn't even know. Like I didn't know him, but I knew how it was connected to my brother and just things like that. So my mom knew it. She's on the bed. She's like shaking me, calling me back. And I just remember when I opened my eyes back up, I just whispered, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to die. I'm going to be okay. And at that point in time, I just became convinced, like I didn't know how it was going to happen. And I didn't know what the 6 pillars meant. And I'm still working that one out. I got some ideas, but I knew what I saw in that moment. I knew I'd had an encounter with God. Yeah. I went back later and asked my husband to make sure I wasn't on any psychedelic drugs. Like, is there anything that could have made me think like that? Nothing, right? So I come back home. I'm still real weak. I spent about 7 days in the hospital. I come back home, still no voice, right? And I'm asking them, like, when can I get my voice back? Because I'd already seen a surgeon. And they're like, you've got it for 3 more months. We got to see how you do over 3 more months. So, but day by day, I got stronger and stronger and stronger. But I will tell you this, here was the shift of that fear. Like, even though I had that encounter with the Lord, you would think that would solve it all. I'm like, I'm just laying in bed, and I end up at the ER because I'm having an anxiety attack, and I don't know what that is because I've never dealt with anxiety. Sorry, there's a bug. I was like, whoa. Fly or moth or something taking the lights. And I said, I was listening to the first night of the Kingdom Come conference. It was in Texas somewhere, and Bill Johnston was the opening speaker, right?
Oh, cool.
And so he said, and we were like 15 minutes from the ER, and he said this. He goes, the church is really good at praying, oh God, prayers. Now, I've been praying, oh God, prayers. I mean, I've been praying them every moment I was awake, like, oh God, help. Like, I just didn't even know what else to say, like, oh God, help. Yep. And he said, the church is really good at praying, oh God, prayers. He goes, but the Lord is looking for a bride who's willing to pray with hopeful expectation, with hope-filled expectation. And when I heard that, as sick as I was, as scared as I was, I knew that's what full buy-in was.
Come on.
Stop praying, oh God, prayers, and start saying, come hell or high water, Jes Jones isn't going to die. It doesn't matter what my diagnosis is. It doesn't matter that they say it's not curable. It doesn't matter that all of this, they say all of this is symptom management. Come hell or high water, Jess lives. Jess lives. Like, because he is the God who does not disappoint. He is not man that he should lie. If he's done it for one, he'll do it for another.
Come on.
You share the testimony of Christ as the spirit of prophecy. Well, I claim all of that. And if he'll heal somebody else, why not me? And that became kind of my anthem whenever the enemy would come at me with fear. Well, why not me?
Yeah.
Why would he heal somebody else and not me? Yeah. And so that was my full buy-in. I had to believe that I was as special as anybody else. I had to believe that his commitment to me was as great as anybody else. My oh God prayers were about my kids. But when I started saying, Jes Jones isn't going to die by this, because God is the God who does not disappoint. He's never disappointed me. And sometimes that's all I could pray. Like, you are not the God who disappoints. You are not a man that you have lied. You died on the cross. Your son died on the cross. I am healed by these stripes. His blood covers this. I'm in covenant with you. And that covenant matters. If it doesn't matter to me, I know it still matters to you, Lord. You are faithful even when we're faithless. You've never deserted me, and you've turned everything out for your glory. So you're going to turn it out for my glory too. And he knows all this. I was just telling me this, but that was my full buy-in. So all the while I had no voice. I was just, I was blogging. If you guys get on there and check out my blog, you're going to have to also remember that it was heavily medicated. So there's probably typos, and you might think maybe this girl was on something. Well, I was. All right. So
wait, you have to, what is it called? I'll put it in the comments, your blog.
It's called Jepistle.com, like epistle, but with the J on the front, short for like Jess, Jepistle, because I'm a living story.
Jepistle. Oh my gosh. Yep. I'm going to just do this, and then you'll say yes. That's it.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
There you go.
I haven't written on there in a long time because I've been writing the book, but yeah, just day by day, I got stronger. And so finally, at my 3-month appointment, I've been on gene therapy for 3 months. I've been on a non-cancer food diet for 3 months. I go in there and they're like, well, we never hear this from radiology, but they say there's significant improvement. And we went in and you couldn't see barely any of the tumors that were there before. Just like 99%, 99.9% gone, just scarring left. And listen, it hadn't just filled my lungs, it had spread. It filled my lymph node, which paralyzed the nerve to my left vocal cord, which is why I lost my voice. And it had spread onto my bones, like I had it in my shoulder joint, all the way down to my hips, different parts of my back. So, I mean, it was stage 4. And when he was like, we rarely ever get to hear this, but they're saying you've shown significant improvement. So I'm going to go ahead and okay you for this surgery. So I'm super excited about it. It was in February. I just had a light go out.
I saw that too.
It's going to get really dark in here. I'm just warning you.
Okay.
What happened? Hang on just a sec.
Okay. This is an incredible story, guys. Like, the lights are going off. Oh my gosh. I love the praying with hope-filled prayers. That's what I love, because I saw your prayer requests, people. I did. I saw your prayer requests. I know that there was some in here that was praying. You had COPD, asthmatic thyroid issues, knee pain and things. I see that, but so does God. And that's what Jess is talking about, is changing the language of your prayers from, oh God, to hope-filled prayers. So cool.
And based on his character, I think when I started praying prayers that he knew were based on his character, like I had more faith in his ability than in my ability to pray.
Come on.
I couldn't even put sentences together. I didn't know how to go to war for myself. I couldn't stay awake, and all I could do. And so the words that I had, I just prayed prayers that were based on his character and not on my need. Because boy, he knew my need. What I needed was to be reminded of his character and who he was. So we go into surgery for my voice. This is in February, right?
Just passed.
Yeah, no, this is in February 20, before COVID.
Right.
Okay. So we go in and I met with this vocalist specialist several times. And his recommendation was that I do an implant because I'm a public speaker. So what they did, so my vocal cords weren't touching anymore. Like, let's see, they weren't touching anymore. So I had one vocal cord over here. So this vocal cord didn't have anything to vibrate against. Wow. So what they did was they put a implant here to push this vocal cord back over. And so this vocal cord has something to move off of it. And that's how I have a voice right now. So he's like, this is what we're going to do. I'm like, okay. So they put me under. He's like, I'm going to have to wake you up so that we can find your tone, because I've never heard your voice. I don't know what you sound like. I was like, okay, it's important enough, I guess. So that's awesome. So I'm under anesthesia. Oh, we're already at 48 minutes, girl. Whew. All right, I'll talk fast. So
you're good. You're good.
Anesthesia. And he brings me out of it, and I can feel him. My throat's cut open, and they're in my windpipe, and they're tugging and pulling on stuff. I'm not in pain, but I can feel it, right?
Right.
And there's like a sheet right here. I can't see it. I'm sure I would have freaked out. Okay. And he says to me, hey, they've got the implant in. He's like, hey, Jess, I want you to say 1, 2, 3, hey. And I was like, okay. And because I'd had to push so hard for so long, I was like, 1, 2, 3. I was like so loud. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He's like, you don't got to yell that hard. And he's like, I know you got to do that. You don't have to do that now. And I was like, oh. So they just kept putting different implants in until they found I can't say this is my actual, it is close to my before voice, but it's not. But I was so ecstatic when I recognized myself.
Oh my God.
He got it close, and I just was like, he goes, okay, now try it, Jess. And I said, just like this, 1, 2, 3, hey. And I started laughing and crying. I mean, and I just kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because during all of this, I thought, would I rather be able to talk, or would I rather be able to breathe? Because not being able to communicate is pretty horrible, you know? And I know people have it a lot worse, and that might be a really naive thing to think, but when I got that back, and so I heard the student who was sewing me up, he goes, should I put her back under? Like, they were the whole, because it's a student hospital, all the students were like, it was like, I don't know who saved or not, but it was really this holy moment in this room. Yeah. And the surgeon, he looked over the sheet at me and he goes, hey, Jess. And he's like, I don't know what you're meant to say, but I'm pretty sure we all need to hear it. So I just laid there and cried and said, thank you. And thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Father, for my voice. Like, I just meant so much to have it back. And at that point in time, I was like, that's it. I got to go tell the world. And then like 2 weeks later, by the time I could finally go out in public again, COVID came, shut the world down. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But I will tell you this. What I've learned through all of this is the worst thing that we can do for the body of Christ, and the worst thing we can do for our children, the worst things we can do for our homes, the worst thing we can do for our communities, and honestly, the very worst thing that we can do for ourselves is to underestimate our value and to underestimate the power of our voice. And I will tell you this, when I had this encounter with the Lord in the hospital, when I woke up, the depth of my gratitude for not facing him with regret was incredibly significant. Because I woke up and I thought, one, I never wanted to go to college to be a drug therapist. What was I doing? And two, I would have faced God and I would not have finished my course. And I'm so grateful that I have a chance to get off my tushy and use my voice and start valuing myself for the purposes that he's created me for. Stop making excuses. Stop living in pain. Stop living in the past. You know that song, when heaven reached down like a wet, sloppy kiss?
Yes.
And whatever.
How I love.
Yeah. Oh, how I love you. So he says, I don't have time to maintain these regrets. Before all of this happened, I always thought he meant like regrets from the past. Like, I don't have time to regret the past. But when all of this happened to me and that song came on, I heard it in a totally different way. I don't have time to keep maintaining regrets, like to keep doing things I'm going to regret, like to keep not valuing who I am in Christ, because I would have regretted facing him and never having really valued myself the way that he values me. And in not valuing, I didn't mean this to end up like a self-esteem thing, but not valuing the gift that he's put inside of me and not valuing my voice, a lot of missed opportunity probably occurred. And it took almost dying for me to realize that I've got a story that I have to tell. If I had passed away, my daughter wouldn't know how I came through my miscarriage, right? That powerful story of what God did to heal me through all of that would have gone to the grave with me. Listen, girls, we can't take our stories to the grave with us. And you are not promised tomorrow. You're not promised your ride home. You're not promised your morning. Like, time became this very tangible thing. And this body is the absolute only thing connecting you to time. That's it. This stuff,
flesh,
whether you like it or not, it is the only thing connecting you to your timeline. And so when we act like we have all the time in the world, oh, I'll make those memories when I have more time. I'll do this with my kids when I have more money. I'll do this, when it's more convenient. Or, I'll grow. I'll become this person when it's a different season, or blah, blah, blah. What you're doing is you're saying that you believe that you've got time because you deserve it. I mean, not that we don't deserve time, but we take it for granted. And Voskamp talks about how when we walk in life without gratitude, she's like my second favorite Canadian. When we walk through life without gratitude, it's like our little boy, it's like a little boy just like shoving that pie into his mouth. But when you live life with gratitude, it's like savoring every bite.
Yeah.
And when you live life with this disregard for time, it's like you're shoving time in your mouth because you're just always assuming you're going to have more. But the truth is, you need to be savoring every single second. And you got to make sure that you're living your life in the now. Don't wait to make those memories. Find a way to tell your story. Yeah. Find someone to help you tell your story. Make sure your kids know who you are. You're not just the mom who changes butts and feeds them, but you're actually a woman with a story that they want to know. And they And, listen, I was just with oncology a few weeks ago, and they were all like real scary and somber with me again. I was like, what is going on, guys? And there's some cell growth in my back they're concerned about. And I think they expected me to crumble. And I was like, dude, I've had a lot more cancer in my body than this. It did not scare me. I was like, just do whatever you got to do. And I'm going to keep moving. I said,
Right.
I'm in the long game here. I'm planning on 40 more years, not 4.
Yeah.
So, they're not used to that. But let me tell you, I take very seriously that verse. Lord, teach me. What's that one? Teach me to number my days.
Yeah.
Live like our days are numbered. We don't live our days like we should.
No.
So, Joyce Myers, she said once, you're capable of more than you realize. And as a busy mom, that just kind of didn't feel very refreshing. I didn't want to be capable of more. I wanted a nap.
That's just it. Just lie down.
I wanted a nap. But when I stopped making excuses for myself, and that's really kind of what got me into health coaching.
Yeah.
Me to go there yet or not, but
Yeah.
when I stopped making excuses for myself, I realized I was capable of a lot more than I realized.
So you're not just surviving, now you're thriving as this health coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yep. So interestingly enough, when I got real sick, I wasn't eating healthy. Big surprise. My body was ripe with inflammation. So when cancer cells began developing in my lungs, they just had the perfect petri bed for it. And so I was probably, I was probably at like 205 or maybe 215 at my heaviest at 5'8". And just kind of languishing in bed, eating whatever I could, holding some of it down. But it wasn't just that, it was all the habits before I got really sick. Right. And so I was on this anti-cancer diet. I was eating really healthy, and I was so sick I couldn't cook for myself. So I had friends cooking for me.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, I got strong enough to cook for myself. And you know what I did? Same old bad habits I was doing before.
Cooking like you were before.
Well, just it was easier, and I was tired and whatever. Even though I knew it was dangerous, even though I knew what kind of atmosphere it created in my body before. And I just, remember thinking, Lord, how do you almost die and still not change your habits? Like, what in the hay? And my husband had been following this health coach online who's also a believer and had been in full-time ministry. And so he reached out to him and said, what are you doing? And we just connected with him. And he was a part of a program that I was familiar with from the past. And so we joined. And I became a health coach about 2 months in. I lost 35 pounds that I've kept off in about 10 weeks. And I could lose 35 more, but losing those 35 made all the difference in the world. Not in just feeling more confident in my clothes, but I got rid of inflammation. I got rid of water. We have no idea how much water weight we're holding on to. My joints don't hurt. My knees don't hurt. My feet don't hurt. Like, that's wonderful. Like, I can actually enjoy my kids. And what I realized is, in not being healthy, like physically capable of being able to be up and around, I really robbed my children of the opportunity to know me because I'm busy hiding behind them in pictures, or trying to do activities that don't require physical activity because I don't want to do that.
I'm not a runner.
I'm not a runner. I don't want to go on that hike. It sounds fun in my mind, but I know it won't sound fun elsewhere. But, and not taking care of my body, I was taking time for granted. I was assuming that my body is something that would always serve me well without properly feeding and caring for it. So I became a health coach. Just with desire of helping people add days back into their timeline, because that's what it was doing for me, was adding time back into my timeline. And so I've had over 100, and I think collectively on my team, we've helped over 156 clients lose 30 to 70 pounds each, just about. So that's a lot of weight in a year and a half we've helped people lose. And people who've gotten off diabetes medicine, high blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. People who have gotten back to their college weight, who are in their 60s. That's
beautiful.
They're looking at their future in a whole new light. They're looking at their future like they have a future, right? So, and the program that we're a part of, it doesn't just focus on diet. It really focuses on habit implementation And habit
Good.
implementation has a lot to do with what you believe.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people say, well, I know what to do. Well, so did I, but it did
Yeah.
not equate into me doing it. Right. So
I love this book.
oh my gosh, that's such a great book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the health program, it's a health and wholeness program. So we do the mental side, we do the heart side, and we do the body side.
Beautiful.
And it has helped me thrive. You know what, I have a palliative care physician, and she's my symptom manager. Yeah, it's a fancy word for last stage disease doctor. And she says to me, I tell her about this program that I'm doing on one of my last visits. And she's like, well, Jess, this is wonderful. Makes me really happy to see you doing this. She goes, you know what it tells me? And I was like, no. She's like, it tells me you're planning to live. And I was like, duh. The whole 2.5 years. That's what I've been telling you. I'm planning on living. I don't care what the doctors say. I don't care what the science says. I don't care what the cells say. I'm planning on living.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so
what is are you allowed to say what the program's called, just in case anyone's interested to like sign up with you?
We really do it based through relationship, because there's so many companies online that do so many different things. And so for us, it's really, it's a network, because we come into relationship with you, we coach, it's affordable. Like, in my opinion, it's, you get a ton for your money. But for me, what I believe is significant change is always tied to a meaningful relationship, right?
Come on.
And so
there's accountability with that.
Yeah, yes, there is. And so for us, we always try to get that first conversation in to make sure that this person likes me. And I like everybody, so don't worry. And just kind of share it that way. But I can put a link on my Facebook page, and or I can send you a link if you want to post it in the comments later. I should have done that beforehand. I could do it right now. Send you my if you want to post it somewhere.
Yeah, if I could, is that okay if I post it in the comments like as soon as I get it?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. I love what I do. It's a lot of fun, and I love that not only am I helping other people get healthy, but I'm helping other people do what I do.
So I love Kathleen is like your cheerleader this whole time.
Kathleen loves me. She's from our church, and her email is giggle something, but she has the best giggle laugh in the whole world. So when she's at our church, or when she's in service, we always know it because we can hear her giggle in the background. Cool. And she has a huge servant's heart. So
that's so
I love
cute.
her to pieces.
Wow.
Oh, I was going to tell you about that book that I wrote about my miscarriage.
Yeah.
It was called From Grace to Gifts: The Power of His Presence in the Waves of Our Grief.
Okay.
And it's interesting how, as I look back now, I see how that encounter really prepared me for facing cancer, even though it's totally unrelated things. And that moment where I realized I might have lost that baby, my midwife left the room, and I just leaned back thinking, oh God, that was that prayer. Yeah. Oh God, what am I going to do if I lost this baby? And I just remember leaning back on the table saying to the Lord, I don't know what to do except trust you. So I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trust you. And when that cancer diagnosis came, when the days were hard, when my friends were crying because I looked like I was dying and they were scared that I wasn't going to live, I just had to make that same choice over and over and over. I was talking to a friend recently, and she's going through a really difficult situation. And she was like, I've just lost hope. I know God can do it. I just don't know if he will do it, or that he will do it. I know that he can, but I don't know that he will. I've just lost hope. I don't know how I don't feel any more hope. And I said, hope's not a feeling. Hope is a choice. Hope is you refusing to believe any other argument. Some people might call it stubborn, but I call it hope. Because, you have to have hope if you're going to have faith. And I don't think God necessarily heals us based on our level of faith. I mean, he'll heal anybody who wants to be healed, right? Yep. As long as you don't get caught up in the mystery of it. But hope plays a big part in a believer's life. Hope plays a big part in thriving. Hope plays a big part in staying alive, and it's a choice. You choose to have hope. I don't know what hope feels like. I just decided I'm going to have hope.
You just grab onto it. This is incredible. Okay, so two things. One, I didn't get the link yet.
Oh, I put it in our Facebook message.
Oh, of course you did.
So sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
I was a lot better in that picture.
In the one that we have?
And the one you're about to see when you see my link. This is my winter face, my Michigan winter face. Look at my white next to this.
Oh my gosh. It was really, really sunny the other day. So this is my did not put sunscreen on face. Actually, Lisa Heap, I don't know if you know her. She's amazing, Lisa Heap. She's from Alberta, Saskatchewan. It's like that. She's on the fine line where she is. They have a church called The Ark. Her and her husband, they're amazing pastors. That would be a really cool connection. So she's asking, how do we connect with Jess? Sorry if you already mentioned this, but how could she connect with you?
You can easily email me at jes@trees, TREES.church. It's just Jess with one S. Jess@trees.church. Yep, that's right. You can also Facebook message me, and I'm also on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook as Jes Jones, and Michelle will be our common. I mean, not Michelle. Who's Michelle? Chelsey.
That's me. On other days, I'm Michelle.
Yeah. And she's not on this show. She's Michelle. No, you'll find me and Chelsey as mutual friends.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I'm starting to get friend requests from everybody. Awesome.
Hey, they're wanting to get to know you because maybe they're interested in this program as well. I mean, who knows? Well, I have no idea where you put that link, by the way. Oh, I'm like, where is this? Did you message the wrong person?
Maybe I might have sent it to somebody else. That
would be funny.
They're gonna be like, okay. Oh, I do think I sent it to somebody else.
I knew it. I was like, I didn't get this yet. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. There we go.
I sent it to another client. She already has the link.
just checking. Oh my gosh. Oh, Jess, this I'm going to call it a soapbox, but it's not. It's your life. Like, this is your life. You went through so much, and I almost felt like that generator turning off and on. It was like God resetting your whole life, resetting your whole body, just going, with the light switch and everything. And then the angels just kind of pushing you right back in there. But you've learned so much, and you're just like, you know what? We're never promised tomorrow. So why not live today with gratitude? Grab onto that hope. I know, like I said, I know that people have said that they're sick, that they've had so many different things that they're dealing with. I know that there was a brain tumor that was being said, but this is good. Like, I'm so glad everybody's here. Like, you're here for a reason. And I hope that this conversation blessed you. This person here, I mean, this is encouraging. I've had lung cancer since 2022, healthy today. I mean, God is so powerful. And I love what you said. The fact that his character, it was his character that switched things in your mind on how to pray. Yeah. Because you knew that he could do it, but it's who he is. Like, oh my goodness.
It's easy to pray hope-filled prayers when it's based on his goodness and not on your hope that he's going, not based on your ability to conjure or muster up enough, or, I mean, I was staying alive on other people's prayers until I could pray my own.
Wow.
So, and Jesus.
And Jesus. Jesus. I love Jesus.
I think you're right. My husband said the same thing about that generator thing. He goes, I think it was a reset, Jess. He goes, in that moment, I believe you got your miracle.
Yeah. That's so powerful. Wow. I want to keep you on forever, but I can't.
I know you guys have bedtimes.
Yeah, we do. But I'm gonna say bye now, but I want to keep you on the back. Just just stay there for just a second. I'll be right back for you. But guys, like if we could do like a virtual hand clap, like I don't know what that's gonna look like, but just Jess, thank you so much for blessing us.
Thank you for letting me share. I really appreciate it, Chelsey. It was
So
such a
good.
pleasure and a gift, really.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you, Jessica. See, people did do a hand clap. Look at that. Yeah, right? This is such a powerful testimony. Like, there's some of you that know her and have walked with her and have seen her day in, day out, like going through this whole process. And actually, I think some of you are part of her team for her health program. But it's just sometimes it's just God brings us through. And that's the key. He's bringing us through. We're going through this valley together with God because he loves, because his character is full of love. His character is full of peace. His character is full of joy. His character is full of you living and not dying because he died so that we didn't have to. He died so that we could live and live abundantly to the fullest, and to the most, like, we are a living, unique expression of who God is. Every single one of us is a unique expression of who God is. That is you, Anjali. That is you, Dawn. That is you, Sharon. That is you, Kathleen. I can say all your names. Like, that is you guys. You guys are a unique expression of who God is. And I love what she said. I was taking some notes while she was saying, but value yourself and stop making regrets. Stop, it's not just the regretting the past, but it's regretting those situations or those decisions daily. Like, oh, I just feel like you get this hint that you want to pray for someone, but then you don't because maybe you're too shy or you just like, oh, I don't want to bother the person. So you walk away. Like those daily regrets that keep on going through our minds, stop those daily regrets and just step into who God's called you to be. Just step in and like let go of all fear because God is with you. His character is with you. His character is love. His character is joy. His character is peace. His character is like everything for you. That's why I keep on repeating that. That is who our God is. He's the one that provides. He's the one that comforts. He's the one that is there through all of the thick and all of the thin. As you heard through Jess's testimony, I mean, she could have given up. She could have said, that's it, I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. God, take me now. But she's a mama of 4. And she just said, if I had gone now, what kind of testimony would this been for my children? Like, it just proved God's character by her still being here now to her children and to her children's children. See, it's not just for our own sake that God heals us or that we're brought through these obstacles, but it's also for the people that are watching us. It's for our children. It's for our children's children. It's for our husbands or our wives. It's for the other people as well, for them to know the goodness of God within our lives, that he's real and that he loves you, so much, so much. Value yourself and your voice. Your voice is powerful. Your voice matters now, tomorrow, forever. It matters. So please wake up tomorrow with a new perspective about you are significant. You are worthy. You are a one of a kind, unique expression of God that somebody out there needs to know about. You are this. God told me this. I'm going to end on this, but God told me there is no other Chelsey. There will never be another Chelsey. There has never been a Chelsey. There is just me. And so I am a unique expression of who God is that somebody needs, that nobody else is. So if I don't step in to what he has called me to be, then that other person is missing out on that type of expression of who God is. So you go ahead, tomorrow and step out. Do those things you've been wanting to do but regretting not doing. Go and step out. Your voice matters. Guys, this is so good. So good. I'm so glad you guys came and joined. This has been amazing. Like I said, I'm taking the whole summer off, but we are going to come back September every Monday night. Just want to recap before you leave. Don't go yet. Don't go yet, because I just want you to know something. Guess what? All of my interviews have been placed on a podcast. So if you've missed past interviews, because every night I've interviewed an amazing woman of God. So far, I've only interviewed one man, and it was my husband. So that was well good. That was needed. But I'm on Spotify, Apple, and Anchor, of course. But you can check me out, Tea Talks with Chelsey. We have episode 15, I believe, up right now. Hope Russell with her coffee expressions. Queen Express. I'm so sorry, Hope. I don't remember the coffee company, and that's bad on me. But she's amazing, and she just loves Jesus so much. And I love how she's using her business of making coffee and reaching out to people about who Jesus is. So you're going to want to check that out. Podcast. There's so many other episodes. You get to know different things on how to reach out to people with God, healings, miracles. We have also had another talk about Spirit Cafe. I'll show you that here. This is Pam Dick, and she talks about Spirit Cafe and how they preach the gospel in a coffee shop and just give people spiritual readings. It's amazing the testimonies that have come out, and that's such a good podcast. So I hope you enjoy your summer. I hope you've enjoyed tonight, because I know I'm going to wake up tomorrow with no regrets now. Thank you, Jess. I really hope that you guys join me again in September. Enjoy the podcast. I'll be posting them up online. So check that out. You can go to Tea Talks. I'm on Instagram, Tea Talks with Chelsey. So, yep. Caffeinated Queen Company. Thank you, Ben. Oh my gosh. That is what my husband's for, to help me. All right. Check it out, guys. Have a good night and an amazing summer. Bye-bye for now.